Their big talking point today is, if they do it to me, this could happen to anyone. Yes, of course.
And when she raised her right hand, Trump instinctively shouted, "I'm a bad boy, mommy."
What we did get was a thorough retelling of their one night of passionate sexing, when Trump and Stormy became the celebrity couple, Stumpy.
The truth is, I told the truth. I took responsibility for my actions.
I'll have to remember that next time I'm cheating on my third wife with a porn star to pay her off when I'm running for president.
Trumpy Grumpy Dumpty is going through a rough patch as the election approaches. He's resorting to sleeping pills because the days have become too difficult to bear. One morning, he wakes up to find that Melania is missing, and soon after, he gets the news that the courts may be sending him to jail. To make matters worse, Fox News polls reveal that Trumpy is falling behind. As if that wasn't enough, the comedy team Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, Bill Maher, and the rest of the late-night hosts are having a blast mocking him every night. The jokes just won't stop. Who would have imagined that the notorious Trump would end up in such a situation? Once Stormy Daniels took the stand during his criminal trial, there was no doubt that Trump was furious.
Prosecution today called their star witness, their porn star witness, Stormy Daniels, took the stand this morning. He testified for 3 hours and 44 minutes today. Her testimony got off to an awkward start. The bailiff swore in on a rolled-up Forbes magazine.
The so-called genius is currently facing frequent harassment and may be looking at possible jail time. Recently, Donald Trump has encountered multiple challenges within the criminal justice system. The situation worsened when Stormy Daniels revealed details about their alleged 2006 affair. Along with the potential for imprisonment, Trump faces a hefty $99,000 fine for violating a gag order. While late-night comedians like Jordan Klepper, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers did not hold back on mocking Trump, the court didn't give much weight to the candor of her testimony.
Show in which we examined her signature that was on a letter Trump's henchmen cooked up, denying that she and Trump ever did it.
However, Jimmy Kimmel seems to have taken the spotlight with his best Trump spoof. What a remarkable day it was in court. Kimmel mocked Trump's description of Daniels as a honey bunch, a phrase Melania might use at Mar-a-Lago, especially when unexpected guests arrive. He made it clear that it wasn't entirely surprising. Kimmel humorously offered a solution for those worried that Daniels might reveal Trump's private information. He couldn't help but laugh at Daniels' amusing story about finding Trump in boxer shorts and a t-shirt, waiting for her. Kimmel brought up the infamous photo of a younger Trump striking a seductive pose, as if desperately trying to show off his sensual side, noting that this image had sparked some debate. Kimmel recalled the day President Trump tried to halt the trial by posting on Truth Social during his lunch break. He poked fun at Trump's lawyer's argument that Daniels' testimony was biased, claiming the jury would struggle to remain impartial after learning about Trump's missionary background. Kimmel joked that it would be difficult for the jury to stay objective now. Even Stephen Colbert couldn't resist mentioning the ongoing criminal investigation against Trump. In a twist no one expected, Trump managed to stay conscious, Colbert quipped on The Late Show, referencing Trump's tendency to attract attention even while in court. In a separate incident, Judge Merchan held Trump in contempt of court for violating his gag order, which prohibited him from discussing the case with the media. This order prevented Trump from speaking publicly about the trial. Colbert sarcastically remarked, "I've got deja vu," as he highlighted Trump's repeated defiance of the law. With this violation, Trump had broken the law for the 11th time, and the court threatened to jail him if he didn't stop immediately. When it was revealed that Trump might end up at Rikers Island, the crowd cheered, with some sending a sarcastic note of sympathy to the unlucky guard tasked with performing a cavity search upon his arrival. Through their work, this organization has exposed not only Trump's blatant disregard for the law, but also the absurdity of his actions in the face of serious legal matters. The South Dakota governor is reportedly one of Trump's potential vice presidential picks. This came after she admitted in her memoir that she had sentenced her cat, Cricket, to death for disobeying her. Chrissy Noem drew criticism when Seth Meyers compared her to the villainous Cruella de Vil, remarking that reading more of her memoir would only cement that impression. Seth Meyers didn't hold back when it came to criticizing Trump on Late Night for his comments about the temperature in the courtroom during his ongoing criminal trial in New York. Witnesses watched as Trump physically reacted, shaking his head and biting his lip, which Judge Juan Merchan later described as an ugly gesture. Observers noted Trump's behavior as the judge interrupted a private discussion between the prosecution and defense to express his concern that Trump's actions could intimidate the witness and influence the jury. The judge went beyond just summoning both legal teams. He made it clear that he would not tolerate such behavior in his courtroom. Throughout the proceedings, the judge observed Trump's antics, which ranged from staring at reporters to visibly expressing anger during testimony, raising concerns about how his behavior might be affecting the trial. Trump continues to cry excessively and complain about his inability to defend himself against the constant attacks from those around him. He is struggling to adhere to the gag order, and one of the things that seems to frustrate him the most is that Michael Cohen can now irritate him as much as he likes. Cohen recently mocked Trump by calling him Donald Von S.A. Pants, a public nickname that enraged the former president to the point where he could barely contain his anger. Now that Trump knows this has been used against him, he's beginning to worry it might hurt his case. It's important to consider the opinions of jurors, the judge's family, and the witnesses Trump regularly criticizes in public. His legal team attempted to defend his breach of the gag order, with Todd Blanche implying that Michael Cohen was provoking Trump, challenging him to respond to whatever he said. Given all this, is Donald Trump really just a sore loser, like a 5-year-old who can't stop laughing at jokes that are too good? One would reasonably expect a presidential candidate to handle such situations with a sense of moderation and common sense. Judge Merchan agreed, mocking Trump's petty complaints and stating he had no right to impose a gag order on people like Cohen who aren't directly involved in the legal dispute.
Hand it over. And so he did, and I was like, turn around, drop him. So he turned around and pulled his pants down a little, he had underwear on and stuff, and I just gave him a couple swats.
Couple of spanks, and Donald Trump started acting more appropriate.
Reportedly, Judge Merchan told Trump to stop bothering him with trivial matters and fined him $999,000 for repeatedly breaking the gag order. This was meant to teach Trump a lesson, reminding him that Cohen is a key witness in the case, and that Trump is not allowed to talk about the trial or the witnesses. This also served as a subtle reminder that Trump isn't getting away with anything. Cohen, along with many others, continues to mock Trump, and it's clear that Trump is frustrated because he can't respond. The humor of the situation is heightened by Trump's inability to defend himself against his own remarks. Even though Judge Merchan initially pointed out Trump's problems, Todd Blanche doesn't seem to understand that the judge doesn't care and is only making things worse by stirring up more trouble for his client. Trump, however, knew that responding to Biden publicly would be disastrous, especially given the event's context. Biden, known for his frequent beach outings, once had an advisor jokingly claim he looked great in a swimsuit, despite being 81 years old. Regardless of Biden's appearance, Trump has no business criticizing others for their looks or swimsuit choices unless he has a completely different viewpoint. Let's be honest, Trump isn't exactly known for being a model of physical perfection.
Michael Cohen is an adult, and it's not like he came up with some childish nickname for the former president.
Donald Von Pants.
The entire situation amounted to a weak attempt to defame Biden. Trump's outrage over Biden's lighthearted jab shows that he's still not particularly good at handling insults. Meanwhile, Trump has always enjoyed creating nicknames for others. There's even a Wikipedia page that lists all the monikers he's come up with, like Wacky Jackie for Senator Jackie Rosen and Governor Gnome for California Governor Gavin Newsom. And then, of course, there's Beautiful Hillary. But the nickname that really stuck and was somewhat successful was Sleepy Joe for Biden.
He asked me to pay off an adult film star with whom he had an affair and to lie about it to his wife, which I did.
That's the sound it meant. It went porn, 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 porn. So what's next? Well, for Donald Trump, a lot of bad things. What we did get was a thorough retelling of their one night of passionate sexing, when Trump and Stormy became the celebrity couple, Stumpy.
After Trump realized that one joke got a lot of laughs, he started using it so often that it eventually lost its humor and impact. How many times can you repeat the same line? This happened after multiple recordings surfaced online showing President Biden appearing to nod off during important meetings and media appearances. Trump first made the Sleepy Joe joke in April 2019. At that time, it was kind of funny. Trump mocked his opponent during the 2020 presidential campaign by calling him Sleepy Joe. People laughed at the irony, not realizing how long it would stick.
Actually, I happen to have a large number of the public here. Hey, public, what do you all think of Trump going to jail? We spend a lot of our time talking about a certain convicted felon, and we will be doing that for a lot more time.
Fast forward to 2024, and Biden and Trump even had a brief exchange when Biden responded to one of Trump's tweets by calling him a clown. You might have thought that would be the end of it. But the same joke is still being told 5 years later. Ironically, it's now Trump who is more often associated with dozing off in court than Biden. Trump's legal team has a serious issue with his lack of attention during court proceedings. It's becoming a problem, and he might not even be aware of how badly it could affect his case. Judge Merchan is clearly getting frustrated with Trump's constant sleepiness. Whether Trump is up too late watching Truth Social or taking medication to help him unwind, it's hurting his ability to stay focused. Even Kellyanne Conway, one of Trump's closest allies, tried to defend him recently on Bill Maher's show, but even she struggled to keep Trump's reputation intact. After Bill Maher essentially tore him apart, the conversation shifted to a well-known phenomenon: Trump's difficulty in accepting his setbacks and his tendency to blame others. The pinnacle of this behavior was during the 2020 election when, despite being declared the loser, Trump claimed the results were rigged. We all know what happened next. He incited a mob of his supporters to storm the Capitol after refusing to accept defeat. Bill Maher then turned his attention to Kellyanne Conway, one of Trump's staunchest defenders. Trump has already hinted that he won't accept the results of the 2024 election, even though the outcome is still unknown. Since his defeat in 2020, he has been actively working to undermine public confidence in the U.S. political system. His behavior seems to suggest a deteriorating mental state, particularly in light of his repeated false claims, such as asserting he won the 2020 election in Wisconsin. Trump has even pledged to inform the public if he believes the 2024 elections are rigged. In response to all of Trump's assertions, President Biden made a simple yet powerful statement: "You can't love your country only when you win," but for Trump, winning and revenge are everything. He is willing to exploit any narrative to serve his interests. Recently, he has once again blamed immigration for supposed election fraud, claiming that Democrats want unauthorized immigrants to vote and sway the elections in their favor. However, non-citizen voting is illegal, and violators face severe consequences, such as deportation and jail time. So what did Kellyanne Conway have to say in defense of Trump's claims? She tried to brush off accusations of refusing to accept the 2020 election results by pointing out that they accepted the 2016 election results. But of course they won that election, so there was nothing to contest. Her argument made little sense. Conway and Maher continued their back and forth, and during the discussion, fresh insights about Trump emerged. First, Trump's narcissism became a key topic. As Maher highlighted, Trump has a massive ego, an insatiable need for attention, and a deep desire for admiration. Whenever he faces criticism, his response is to attack, regardless of whether the criticism is justified. Trump is a classic example of compassionate psychology that children learn about in school. He reacts to perceived slights like a child. Meanwhile, Kellyanne Conway is an expert manipulator. She has a knack for steering conversations away from the uncomfortable truth. When faced with questions about Trump's narcissism, she deflected, trying to shift the focus to how great a president he was, despite his flaws. This tactic is classic Conway. Rather than addressing the heart of the issue, she bombards the audience with irrelevant information to distract from the main point. When it comes to the title of craziest person we've ever seen, it's true that Trump often seems to earn that label. However, while he frequently says ridiculous things that make his presentations difficult to follow, Kellyanne Conway, despite her own absurdities, is actually more intelligent and persuasive than Trump. Unlike him, she has a knack for rhetoric. While Trump tends to bumble through his arguments, Conway exhibits a calculated approach, albeit one rooted in narcissism and superficiality.
They would love to see a guy like Sleepy Joe Biden, who has no clue what the hell he's doing.
Oh, Sleepy Joe. Well, he's running tomorrow. No, but could you imagine if I said just a small fraction? Many times, sir. The sad part about that, Sleepy Joe is right. You know the sad part about that? When you do that, you can't really recover.
Comedians and late-night hosts often poke fun at her performances. In fact, we'll show you a skit where she plays a prominent role. But the laughs don't stop there. Kellyanne Conway has even tried her hand at stand-up comedy, with her early attempts gaining traction on TikTok. One memorable moment involved her hobbled entrance onto the stage with a broken leg, where her delivery went hilariously awry. But let's refocus on Trump, who deserves our full attention. Bill Maher managed to make both Donald Trump and Kellyanne Conway look foolish during one particular evening, yet Trump remains the frontrunner for the presidency. This raises concerns about what might happen if he loses. Bill Maher offered crucial advice to Trump, noting that narcissists often become antagonistic after experiencing setbacks. If Trump lashes out, it could lead to serious consequences. Now, let's dive into a few more topics Bill Maher raised during his conversation with Conway, particularly regarding deceit. According to a Washington Post investigation, over a 4-year period, Donald Trump made 35,173 false or misleading claims, averaging nearly 21 incorrect statements every day. The Post uncovered this staggering figure while compiling a list of Trump's lies, and the numbers are too significant to overlook. Beyond his constant dishonesty, Trump tends to offend a wide array of individuals. The fact that his Wikipedia page includes an extensive list of the nicknames he has created for others speaks volumes about his character. For instance, he dubbed Jackie Rosen Wacky Jackie and referred to California Governor Gavin Newsom as Governor Numbnuts, yet Conway insists that Trump is a morally upstanding individual, a claim that seems increasingly absurd given his track record. Trump is particularly skilled at criticizing others. He often mocks Vice President Joe Biden, accusing him of being dishonest and too old. However, it's evident that Trump isn't the best person to comment on someone's appearance, especially when it comes to a bikini photo. As we've seen in various tapes and recordings, Conway seems oblivious to the fact that Trump isn't exactly a pleasant guy. Bill Maher recognizes this too. Trump has taken plenty of shots at him and has a long list of grievances. Moreover, many people, including MAGA supporters, believe that Trump had an affair with Stormy Daniels and paid her $130,000 in hush money, adding another layer to his complicated public persona. Yet, a significant number of people continue to support Trump. One MAGA supporter remarked, "I still respect my father even though he had affairs too." This response highlighted the glaring hypocrisy that permeates Trump's base, as showcased in a segment that aired on Jimmy Kimmel's show. Kimmel's team drew attention to this issue, criticizing the MAGA mob for their blind loyalty and unwavering commitment to the presidential candidate. In a thought-provoking debate and switch episode, Kimmel questioned Trump supporters about negative actions they believe Joe Biden is responsible for. The segment aimed to unveil the inconsistency in their views. For example, one question posed to the supporters was about Biden's statement that COVID-19 might be treated by shining a bright light inside the body. Kimmel did not hold back in his critique, calling out the obvious deception and mental gymnastics that characterize Trump's followers. This segment served to highlight the often contradictory nature of the supporters' beliefs and the lengths they go to in rationalizing their loyalty to Trump. Despite being presented with facts, the participants reverted to their initial assumptions. Labeling Biden as a demented patient, they dismissed the idea that Trump had made the ludicrous comparison, even though it was clear he had. This highlighted the absurdity of their refusal to acknowledge Trump's ignorance while simultaneously criticizing others for making similar mistakes. Kimmel highlighted the hypocrisy of MAGA supporters by emphasizing how ridiculous it is for them to ignore certain truths. His staff posed a question about whether it was possible to avoid the Vietnam draft due to having bone spurs, attributing this inquiry to Secretary of State Biden. This inquiry clearly suggested that Biden could not be considered a true American patriot, as members of the MAGA party have claimed that he has a problem with patriotism. When Donald Trump's defense team learned that he had avoided being drafted, they responded with surprising humor. "Ah, Trump. My brother-in-law had flat feet," they remarked, highlighting the irony of the situation. Kimmel emphasized that Trump's fans display a troubling level of ignorance and a notable lack of critical thinking. She also highlighted how consistently Trump's supporters defend his behavior. The height of hypocrisy was reached when discussions turned to Stormy Daniels and the $130,000 hush money payment. A significant portion of the MAGA movement was ready to hold Biden accountable for an alleged affair, but when it was revealed that Trump was the one involved, their reaction was dismissive. They rationalized their support by saying, "Well, our own fathers had extramarital affairs." Kimmel pointed out that Trump is adept at rationalizing any of his wrongdoings, no matter how morally problematic they may be. He noted Trump's ability for mind-boggling mental gymnastics in his defense. Trump's mugshots taken after his arrest starkly illustrate that he never surrendered or turned himself in, yet his supporters continue to buy into his lies, insisting that he has never shown any form of identification. Among other things, MAGA supporters claim they have never surrendered to tyranny. Kimmel brought attention to the cult-like mentality permeating Trump's fan base, highlighting the dangers of their irrational defense of his behavior. In essence, people continue to embrace Trump despite him being one of the greatest criminals in history and despite his significant moral failings. Moreover, while supporting his cause, they also attempt to distort the truth and disregard the actual circumstances. Kimmel chastised these followers, making it abundantly clear that they should be cautious of the propaganda and warned of the grave implications of supporting a leader who habitually tells falsehoods, avoids accountability, and manipulates his supporters. He explicitly stated that supporting or voting for Trump is equivalent to condoning this potentially dangerous personality cult. Kimmel believes that voting for Trump is morally unethical and clearly articulated why supporting him is a morally repugnant decision. He argued that it's time to abandon this cult-like following and vote for leaders who prioritize the country's well-being, truth, and integrity. Kimmel presents a strong case for why supporting Trump is both a moral failing and a political misstep. Who do you suppose is gagging once more? It's not a rabid chihuahua, it's none other than our very own Donnie Diapers. Since Kimmel utterly dismantled the orange turd last night, Trump's fury has reached a physical breaking point, akin to that of a cheap cappuccino machine. Following Trump's peculiar fundraising speech, Jimmy Kimmel unleashed a torrent of criticism against the Republican candidate, attacking Donnie Diapers for behaving like a crazed dog. Kimmel aired a video of Trump shouting, "We will take back our country," from November 5th, 2020, and remarked, "Oh my God, old Yeller is so fired up he's foaming at the mouth." Kimmel joked that Trump can't seem to catch a break, not only trying to make the orange turd look bad, though it's generally entertaining, but also aiming to expose a video that shows their hero clearly upset. He quipped, "Come on, people. Before you hit the upload button, please take a moment to edit." Kimmel also ridiculed Trump's portrayal as a man with a gun, pointing out that, as a convicted felon, Grumpy Trumpy isn't even allowed to carry a concealed firearm. In fact, there are 37 countries that Trump, as a convicted felon, is not permitted to visit. The jokes kept coming as Kimmel displayed a picture of Trump awkwardly holding a gun, looking as if he was about to pee himself. Kimmel couldn't resist comparing Trump's terrified expression to the one he had when he first held his son Eric, saying, "That has to hurt a lot." When it came to our grumpy old Trump, Kimmel was on a roll. He remarked that because Trump was so wound up, he was indeed foaming at the mouth like old Yeller. Can you really picture it? The big orange turd up there, yelling and ranting, with spit flying everywhere. That's the Trump train for you. Kimmel posted a video of Trump spitting incoherently and condemned Trump's own team for their incompetence, saying, "Really, folks, you work for this person and can't even edit out the awkward parts. Please hurry up." But we shouldn't be surprised, I suppose, as this is the same crew that brought us 4 seasons total landscaping. Kimmel took great pleasure in Trump's ridiculous hyperbole, playing a video of him repeatedly shouting the date, November 5th, 2024, is the day we take back the country. Kimmel chuckled, "It's not something I ever need to see again, but I think I should watch that again." At his finest, Kimmel finds humor in the absurd. He even paused to apologize to the audience for showing them the video, though it was clear he was enjoying mocking Trump. "I'm so sorry, everybody. I didn't show that to embarrass the former president. Although I do enjoy doing it. After all, don't we all occasionally?" Speaking of embarrassing events, you'll never believe what happened to the former Trumpster and his gun license. Yes, the man really did lose it. Kimmel turned this serious situation into humor, saying due to his criminal conviction, Donnie Diapers has lost his precious concealed carry permit and is not allowed to enter 37 nations. Wump wump. I guess Mr. Second Amendment will have to defend himself with little fists and harsh words as usual. Jimmy Kimmel didn't hesitate to chastise the orange turd after this latest defeat, remarking, "It's quite strange that someone who can't even legally pack heat anymore has nuclear codes. Doesn't that seem a little backward to you? What does that mean Trump can keep a werewolf as a pet, but can't get a puppy?" Kimmel also ridiculed Grumpy Trump's utter ineptitude with a gun, pointing out that he gives a handgun the same uncomfortable expression he had when he first held his son Eric. "Whoops, gunfire," he joked. Well, not literally, since Trump can't handle a real gun anymore. If Donald still wanted to shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, he'd have to break out the old crossbow. Kimmel quipped that his pal Ted might be able to lend him one. All the late-night hosts are having a field day with Donnie Diapers. Stephen Colbert has repeatedly embarrassed the orange turd. Remember the joke he made about how Trump's presidential library was just a bunch of pop-up books? Classic Colbert burn. Not to mention Seth Meyers, who has made a career out of mocking every move Grumpy Trump makes. I always chuckle at Meyers' spot on analysis of Trump's rambling, incoherent talking patterns. But I have to confess, Kimmel's parody of Trump when he gets caught with a gun and starts foaming at the mouth really hits home. It strikes the perfect balance between hilarious humor and biting political commentary. But Trump isn't far behind when it comes to making jokes about his opponents. During the 2020 campaign, he called Biden Sleepy Joe, a nickname Trump relished, using after several recordings surfaced of Biden dozing off during important events and TV appearances. At first, it was kind of funny. However, after 1 million plays, the jokes became dreary and lost their comedic touch. Trump enjoys giving himself new titles, referring to himself as Lion T and Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas. He labels everyone with loving nicknames, like Crooked Hillary Little Marco, and even Wacky Jackie for Jackie Rosen. He once called Gavin Newsom Governor Gnome, as he is formerly known. It's almost as if he's competing for top honors in a middle school insult contest. However, it's absurd that he should be making fun of anyone, particularly since more people now associate Trump with falling asleep in court than they do with Biden. This is probably because Biden isn't the target of the investigation. It seems that Trump's dozing off in court is creating more issues than entertainment. Rumors have circulated that Trump was given sedatives by his legal staff to avoid appearing foolish in court. Judge Merchant is growing increasingly irritated with Trump for nodding off during proceedings. Whether this is because Trump spent the entire night on Truth Social or took medication to relax is unclear. His legal team seems so desperate for solutions that they've run out of choices to keep him awake. For instance, a lawyer doesn't sit beside him during side talks to prevent him from dozing off. Some have even concluded that napping is a great way to save time. We expect to see the Trump brand appearing on wake-up supplements and energy drinks in the near future. Who's going to tell them this? Who knows? The guy who used to sell steaks and Bibles might soon start selling coffee at Starbucks under his own brand. The Tonight Show presenter Jimmy Fallon devised the ingenious Trump shock collar to keep the embattled businessman awake during his hush money trial. It's said to work incredibly well. Trump will not go to sleep, no matter how loud you turn it up. It's plausible that Russia and Saudi Arabia would prefer silence since, well, it's Trump. We might be in for considerably more serious issues if the only concern in court was Trump nodding off. Even so, I believe we could manage the situation. It's not just about understanding how to unwind. The real issue is actually Trump's propensity for farting when he sleeps. Renowned Trump critic Ben Mella recently posted a video on TikTok that quickly gained traction, accusing Trump of farting in court. He backed this allegation with several reliable claims. Just when you thought Donald Trump's litany of horrific deeds couldn't get any more ridiculous, he farts.